Yeah, so I'm Ms. Lemus. I am a director of programs at a charter school in South Central, where we serve homeless students. And yeah, that's
Mm,
it.
that's a lot. Can you dive into that? What exactly do you do?
So as the director of program, so I like to tell people I'm like the glue of both of our campuses.
Hmm.
We have two campuses right now. What I do is I oversee all the programs of the school, the extracurriculars. So partnerships with, so sorry, I'm so
Don't be
nervous.
nervous. Don't be nervous. You got this.
Do people get nervous
They
or is
do,
it
but don't get nervous. You got it. We're good. It's a
okay?
conversation.
Yeah, so I'm the director of programs. So I oversee after school programs, morning care, tutoring, our partnerships that we have at our school with basketball enrichment, well, all the enrichment programs, logistics for big events that we do, and for two campuses.
Okay. When I see your TikTok, it looks like you're doing a lot of fun things.
Hmm.
Like you have the art, like you put up a lot of artwork. And some of the students they look like they're young, but they're putting up really good art, like that's part of your program as well.
Yes. Well, that used to be. So a lot of the videos that I post is like old content that I just have on my phone that I've accumulated over the
Yeah.
years. And I'm just like now starting to, show different things that I do. Because aside from director of programs, I also coach lower grades. So
Hmm.
transitional kindergarten, and a kinder first combo at our school.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I've just been posting different things that I've done over the years just to kind of like help out other teachers. um, yeah.
That's good. And how did you get into education? Like where did it begin?
So, I mean, that's kind of like a hard question just because I feel like I've been around educators my entire life. So even like when I was in elementary school, I grew up in Koreatown. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh
with
yeah,
like,
I worked in Koreatown.
okay, what school?
I worked at New Open World Academy. It's a new school where the Ambassador Hotel used to be, but
Oh, RFK.
RFK.
Yeah.
RFK, yeah. That's where I
Yeah.
worked at.
That's cool. My sisters worked at RFK. Um,
Really?
yeah, Lhasa. I don't know if you're familiar with Lhasa.
My daughter went to Lhasa, but my daughter went to Lhasa when Lhasa wasn't
Was it
there.
Belmont?
It was on the Belmont campus right here.
Hmm. Yeah, before they turned into pilot schools.
That's correct. Oh, well, small world, huh?
Yeah, it is. So I think your daughter went to school with my sister.
Probably.
Yes, around. I think that was around 2012, and
Ye- Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah. So my education, like, where my trajectory with education is, I started off like working with my dad is a pastor,
Hmm.
so like even like my pedagogy as a teacher definitely comes from like seeing my dad preach and how he like the congregation. So that's like, I feel like that's like my main like initiation to the education world is through watching my dad and how he facilitates. But then after that, like I have older sisters, so my sister Yami, my eldest sister, she used to work for the number one after school program in Los Angeles. I don't know if you're familiar with LA's Best.
Hmm.
So she worked with LA's Best. So when I was in elementary school, she worked in the school where I worked.
Wow.
So I was her teacher assistant. You know how you use one of
Hmm.
your students and you kind of like use them as your little helper. So
Hmm.
I was her little helper, and since I was her sister, she kind of put more responsibilities on me than she would to a regular student. So, she would be like, hey, can you do this call and response? And,
Yeah.
try to engage with students. And, hey, can you be in charge of teaching this student? So, from a really young age, like, I had people moving me around to try to put me in those, like, spaces to be, like, the leader of the classroom. But then, like, aside from that, like, my dad being a pastor and my sisters being in education, since we couldn't really afford for babysitting, what my mom would do is she would have me volunteer during the summers in elementary schools.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're going to volunteer this summer in the library. So I would learn all the systems about the library. Okay, this summer you're going to work with our AP, Miss J. Chung. Go work with Miss J. Chung. Okay, Miss J. Chung would have me filing like IEPs when I was like, like I don't know, I was like 11. So
Yeah.
every summer, I was in a different role in schools, in elementary schools, and working with my sisters like after school. So it was just kind of all around my life. After that, in high school, I went to John Marshall, and at
Oh,
Marshall.
get out of here! I went to John Marshall. Get out of here! Get out of here!
Yeah,
My son went to John Marshall. You probably know my son.
yeah, I'm friends with Johnny.
Oh, what the? What is?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay,
it's a
this is
really small
different.
world. But yeah, so in John Marshall, I
Wow.
was president of this club called Best Buddies,
Okay.
where I worked with students in special education. We would do we did a prom for them, and we would do. Sorry, I'm on 60th and
You be
Crenshaw, so
careful. Be
it's a
careful.
wild over here. Don't worry, the block got my back.
All right.
I teach their children. Okay, they
There
got
you
me.
go.
But yeah, so I sorry to go back. So at Marshall, I was president of Best Buddies. So we
Mhm.
would create like events for the kids, performances. We would do like one-on-one sessions and just hang out with them, play basketball with them during lunch, and just be friends with them. That was pretty much what it was. And then after that, I graduated high school, and that was like my pathway in, like my real pathway into like a job in education. So I started working with this program called the Help Group.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with the Help Group?
No, it sounds familiar, but not really.
So basically, what they are is a substitute agency that works with infants all the way to seniors. And what they do is they call you, hey, I need you in this class. And the majority of those schools that we worked with are non-public schools. I don't know
Okay.
if you're familiar with
Oh yeah.
non-public.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so right out of like high school, it's boom. I'm in non-public schools. One day I'm changing diapers. The next
Mhm.
seniors, and we're doing like a social like a field trip where they're learning how to interact with different people, and they're like those field trips are really interactive. We would go to the mall, and they would have to like ask questions about technology, and then make exchanges with money and currency and have those conversations, and then we would kind of like guide their interactions but also allow them to do their own thing. And then the next day I was in a classroom with second graders where they're saying like really like intense things. Like I had a student it was like around my first week of working at non-publics, where he told another student like, hey, I'm going to slit your throat
Yeah.
and paint every wall with your blood.
Yeah.
So, I was in these spaces. I saw great educators that, really wanted to make a change in students' lives, and I also saw educators that shouldn't be in education.
Right.
And I guess that's when I was like, okay, what is the type of teacher that I want to be? What are things that I see in this teacher that I like and this one that I don't like? What am I going to apply? And then after that, I just, I started hustling. So I ended up working for LA's Best because it's something that I was familiar with. And within a year, I moved up like 4 positions, and I was the youngest coordinator in LA's Best has ever had. I opened up 4 different sites for them.
Wow.
I opened up their 200th site and their 202nd, and then just kind of went to different schools. So I worked in Koreatown too at Wilton Place Elementary,
Okay.
and then after that, I opened up Rosewood Elementary. They never had an after-school program. The principal there actually got rid of 3 programs before I got there. They got rid of ARC, they got rid of youth services, and then after that there was another one that they were, if I don't remember the name of it, but they got rid of it. They brought us on, and then after that we changed the after school program. It was beautiful. It was 140 students in the after school program. We had like 7 teachers. It was a lot, and I think I was like 20 at the time.
Wow.
So I did that. We like our school was known for trophies. I like to put that on my back,
Yeah.
like because for me, like the type of coordinator that I was is that I love being in every single classroom and pushing my coaches so they can push their kids, right? I don't know if you're familiar with this boxer. They call him Scrappy. I don't know if you know him, but he was one of my coaches at the time. And he got my kids to go to district for LA's Best, so they got trophies for football, trophies
Awesome.
for baseball. It was awesome. And then on my 22nd birthday, I think it was, I was kind of like, okay, like I'm done. The job is done. So what's next?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got introduced to this school where I'm at right now by a friend of mine who was like, "Hey, there's this lady. I really want you to meet her. She's looking to mentor two people. I brought you up, and she wants you to come to her school." I came to her school and she gave me a tour of, the library, the Harmony Center, which is like the wellness space in our school, where we have MSWs, we have therapists, we do doll therapy, dog therapy, anything you could think of, any therapy you could think of, we have it for our kids.
That's good.
So we do that at our school. She talked to me about her vision. I went up to the second floor. They had a beautiful dance room with mirrors and a professional dance teacher, Miss Abby, who's no longer with us, but she was incredible. She was telling me about all of the things that they were doing. Students with perfect attendance get to go to Disneyland at the end of the year, and that's a guaranteed field trip. She would tell me about the pantry that they have where our homeless families can come in and get food at any point that they want. We have laundry services, transportation services. It sounded
Sheesh.
too good to be true.
Sheesh.
It sounded too good to be true, right? So that day I told her about just kind of like my life, my route, where I want to be, what do I want to do in education. And she was like, "Do you need a job? Come on board." And I've been there since 2019. I left during COVID just because that was like kind of like a disaster. I came back, and now I'm here as a director. And I've had two different roles at the school. And the two roles in charter schools come with in
Yeah.
like
Oh
additional
yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
You worked at charters?
I did it for about 6 months, but same with LAUSD. You're one job. I'm an assistant principal over special education, but I do everything. I feel like
Yes.
I take care of everything, but I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, and now I'm here, director of programs. It's definitely not what I want to do, but it's what the need was. And I'm definitely like I'm like the cleanup hitter. I like
Hmm.
to say like I'm the cleanup hitter where it's
Hmm.
like, where do you need me, right? Because right now we're having the conversation with, hey, third grade is not working out. We're not having good relationships with the teachers, not having good relationships with the teachers. We're trying to do this, and like it's not working out. Do you think you might be able to step in? And I'm just, I'm the cleanup hitter. But right now, I'm at a place in my life and in my career where it's like I know exactly what I want for my contract next year. So I'm gonna tell you this is what I'm doing, and then if you're with it, cool. If you're not, then I'm out because it's
Yeah.
I've done what I had to do. I feel.
So
But yeah, that's kind of my background. I know I'm sorry I went on a lot of non sequiturs and tangents, but
no, no.
to kind of give you perspective on just like my background.
Well, what I could hear is the passion. What I could hear is the fire. That's what I could. What I could hear is the heart. That's what I hear. That's what I
Thanks.
hear. I hear somebody that's passionate about education, somebody that loves what they do, loves to make a difference, loves to help the people that need the most help. That's what I feel. I know, and you talked for a bit, but that's what I felt the whole time. I was like, she is lighting me on fire. Like
Uh,
I feel inspired. Like I want to go to work and like help out more people. That's how I felt when you were talking. That's exactly
I
how I felt.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate.
So what is the next move then? What is your next move?
So my end goal. I'm gonna tell you my end goal before I tell you my next move, so I could give
Okay.
you. Next. So I've had this vision since I was a kid to have my own like TV show,
Yeah.
right? Like I want to have it. I'm a creative person. I love art. I love different like mediums in art. I love film, but I know that in my core, like what I was destined to do is to teach, right? So what I want to do is I want to create like my hood version of Sesame Street, like a South Central Sesame.
Mm.
So I'm working with different people, graphic
Mm.
with people who are in the community. I have a friend who works for this company. Well, he's the founder CEO of this company called Wicked Thoughts. And he's designing like the outfits of like my puppets because it is going to be puppet based. Just because I do feel like our kids need some type of wholesome, but still like a medium that meets them where they're at. So that's my end goal. So right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of following, you inspired me to post more content
There you go.
because I wasn't, but I saw like how you were consistent and I blinked and you're here.
Yeah.
You know? So that motivated me to start posting more and go back to my content and decide to just put myself first in what I want to do in my dreams. So for next year, what I want to do is I want to teach strictly enrichment. And so electives. Like I said, I started a nonprofit with my parents called Psalmist at their church. That's a free program that's been running since I was 13 years old, and it's still running till today. Where we teach drums. It's very basic. Like we're not like virtuosos, like over
Mm-hmm.
here, like prodigies. None of that. But we teach the foundational skills. So if you really like this instrument and you have these foundational skills, now go pay for it so they can really teach you like the details and how to read, sheet music and all of that, right? So that's what we're doing, and that's what we have been doing since we were 13. So what I want to do is that what I told the founder of the school today actually is I see myself doing enrichment as many times as you want. Right now we do it 3 times a week, right? If you guys want it 5 times a week, I'll do it 5 times a week. I'm the one that writes the contract, so I know how much you're paying me enrichment teachers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't have to pay me that much because I love what I'm doing, right? And we're paying like 8 different teachers to teach. Now you can just utilize me. I can teach music. I can teach art. I can teach. I could do a yoga class. What do you want me to do? I'll teach it, right? But the reason why I want to do that is because it'll allow me to build my content, and it'll give me freedom to make engaging lessons the way I want to at my pace. And at the same time, I'm doing what I love, building my content, and it's going to help me for what I want to do in the future. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
Content is important. Content
Yeah.
in 2024, creating content, I feel like that's such a it'll catapult you wherever you want to be. Like for you, it sounds like you're like so free. Like you're so free. Like you're not tied down. Like in a charter school, you don't really you have a year-to-year contract at a charter school, correct? Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and and it sounds like you are so free and you can go wherever you want, and that sounds great. And I'm looking forward to seeing your content because I feel like you could just take off with the ideas that you have. You have some really great ideas. You
Thank
you
you.
just got to put it out there. Like you said, like I just said to myself, I'm just gonna post once a day. I'm gonna post once a day, and it was very uncomfortable at first. I'm an older man, and I was very uncomfortable, and I'm posting what I feel is important. Like I feel like these are important. I'm not gonna copy everybody else. I'm gonna just do what I think is important. Let me make content about how to build relationship with students with difficult behavior. Let me make content on how to build classroom environment and how to deal with certain kids and not write them off, and build these relationships. That's how I really started off with, and I started making that content, video after video after video after video. And in a year, I was like, oh my God, look at what happened. Like it just blew up. I was like, I never thought that something like that would ever even just take off. And then the
Mhm.
next year I'm doing content. And it's like, well, let's make a podcast. I was like, let's make a podcast and let's do 52 episodes. Let's do 52 episodes at the end of the year and see where that takes you. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I would tell myself, I'll decide whether I want to continue or not. You're number 51. You're number 51, and I only have one more podcast to get to my 50-second podcast, right? And so
Okay.
I'm right there. And so I made it all the way to 52, and I enjoy making podcasts. I enjoy talking to people like you and the educator that's, I enjoy it. And I think I'm going to continue next year as well. I feel like in December, I'm going to take a break and not post anything. And then starting January, come off strong, just banging. Like I know I know all the mistakes I made. I know what I could do now, and let's just take off with it.
Mhm.
So, it's just having that, like you're saying, having that dream, having that vision, having a goal, and then just every day, like step after
Yeah.
step after step, brick by brick by brick, piece by piece, and you just keep building, keep building. And you don't care what other people say. You don't
Exactly.
care what they think. You don't care about any of that stuff. It's just something that God put that in your heart, and
Mhm.
God put something in my heart, and every day you just do that little bit. Just
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think that external judgment is what scares people.
Uh-huh.
At least for myself, in my personal experience, like I've been sitting on years of content, of just videos, and I'm always like, oh, is this gonna be cringe, or oh, is this
Hmm.
like what are people gonna say? And so I guess like that's the one thing that's been in the back of my mind. And then I see people like you who you set a goal, you continue, and you just do it like take it a day at a time.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then the moment you blink, you're already there.
Yeah.
So like that was very motivating to me. So thank you for that. I am where I'm at right now because of educators like you. So thank you.
Yeah. Can we talk about how did the church background help you out? How did being, having a pastor as a father, how did that play into anything?
Well, when the church is for sick people, right? And I think that the school is also for sick people.
Mm. Mm.
Meaning that, like, I saw my dad deal with so many different temperaments. I saw my dad teach 100 different lessons in captivating ways, Like, when he speaks, it's quiet. When he tells something, it's honest. So I learned, so like, just like teacher integrity, like being your most authentic self, being honest with the people that you're talking to. And then also, that follow through of always like, okay, this is the issue, how are we going to fix it, let's move on, like that, just restorative practice.
Mm-hmm.
I saw restorative practice every single day in every single interaction. And you know what? Like, I feel so bad that I said that my education started at church. It actually started at home. My mom was my first educator. So
Mm-hmm.
let me not take that away from her. She was the most incredible educator that I've ever had. Everybody always tries to say that my dad, and that's why I feel bad that that was who I mentioned first, but it was really my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was a resourceful queen, okay? So she would make we were very, very poor. It was like it was me, my sister, my cousin Allison, my cousin James, my other sister Yami, my brother Julio, my mom and my dad, myself, all in a one-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
So you could, and the only one working was my dad because my mom was committed to staying with us the first 5 years of our lives, just because she knew the importance of those formative years, right?
Yeah.
So my mom took her time to teach me lessons about, just taking care of your things, just the systems and routines at home, that
Mm-hmm.
teaching me right from wrong, teaching me important lessons through art. We didn't have stamps. She would cut up a potato and turn it into a heart, and then boom, there's your stamp. We didn't have ink. Okay, let's use some beats.
Mm-hmm.
Just very creative. And I think that like a lot of what I received is from a little bit from my mom, a little bit from my dad, a little bit from my sister. So I think that it was just kind of, it takes a village. It took a village to teach me what I know. I don't pinpoint and say this is the one thing that made me an educator. It was a whole collective of things that brought me to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. You might not want to answer this question, but how do people receive your passion? Like you're at a place, you've been in places where you're passionate, and there are people that are not as passionate as you. There are
Mhm.
people who are set in their ways. There are people that don't have these dreams or visions. They're just there like, I'm just here day to day. I'm just here to just get by.
Mm,
But you're like, you're passionate, like,
I think it depends. I think that there's people who like. I just talked to this after school teacher who's brand new, who's never been in a classroom. She's incredible though. I coach her and I give her a tip. Boom, I see her applying it. I had a conversation with her and she was very thankful. She was like, thank you so much. Like everything that you've taught, like they feel motivated by my passion. A lot of people. Then we'll have those few people who are just like, just a little sour. So, anything you say just doesn't really like resonate because they don't share that passion.
yeah,
But it's okay because like I believe that everybody is teachable, but I definitely think that like sometimes people are not open to receive that, those lessons. And I think that's okay. I think that whether or not they don't receive it in that moment, at some point they're gonna remember the things that I said and the things that I feel. And I'm okay with that. I think
yeah,
that plant your seed and walk away.
yeah, yeah. It's a good way to look at it. Yeah, because you're so young. You're so young, and you probably run across other people that are older than you, and then it's hard. to coach older people from you're being so young.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to that, I think it just depends. Honestly, I walk like a seasoned vet
I
everywhere.
could in your voice. I could hear it. I could hear it. I could see it in your eyes that you walk around with confidence. I can
Yeah,
see it.
it's what I do. I do it well, and I'm consistent with it enough. I have preparation. I have years of just learning. On different aspects of the entire education system. So I think that I never want to come off as arrogant to people, and
Mhm.
I'm always very I have like a politician type of vibe when I talk to teachers. It's
Yeah.
very like the complimentary sandwich. We
Yeah.
start off with, like the complimentary sandwich. You got it when you hit people with that, they melt like butter, and
Yeah.
also like you gotta always just, constructive criticism.
Hmm.
Constructive, like you have to emphasize. It's in the beginning of the phrase for a reason.
Yeah.
It has to build them. You can't just, like just nitpick at all the negative things they're doing.
Yeah.
People want to feel highlighted the same way. Students and teachers are the same.
Yeah.
We got to teach them in the same way. And I think that sometimes, like administrators, leadership, we forget that. We're teachers. I looked through a classroom management PD that our AP did today, and I was like, listen, man, I don't know if this is the way we're gonna teach classroom management. We gotta move around. Let's do a think, pair, share, or something. Like, let's have them move around. They're tired. They've been
Yeah.
teaching for 8 hours. They don't want to sit through a 3 hour PD about what they're not doing and what they need to start doing. That's not
Yeah.
how. We gotta pull the answers out of them. You know?
Yes. That
Yeah.
that that is the key. You got to pull the answers out of them. You can't be just always shoveling ideas and like I know all of the wisdom. I know everything, and here I am to take all of my knowledge and give it to you, and you're gonna be in awe with all of my knowledge. No, no
No,
way.
we're it's cognitive overload.
Yeah.
Like it's the new curriculum and the systems and the kids and the parents. And when we work with homeless children, the amount of trauma that comes with that, like that's a whole thing in itself. That's a whole nother,
Hmm.
it's difficult. The job that we do is difficult, and I think that what teachers want is they want us to acknowledge that first. Before we start telling them this is what you need to do, we need to acknowledge that you are doing a difficult job. It takes a village to raise one child, and you have to teach kids, a room full of 25 and up students, to do these things, So acknowledging first that their job is difficult is the first step to, opening that door. And then as soon as you do that, you're in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the homeless population that you serve?
Yeah, so our founder, years ago, she's amazing. Hattie Mitchell. Google her, please. She's the boss. She's
I'm gonna
the
look it up. I'm
big
gonna look
boss.
her up. I'm gonna look her up.
Yeah, so Hattie, she's worked with President Obama. She was a difficult student, okay?
Mm.
Ms. Mitchell was getting locked up. She was her high school counselor gave her the same advice that my high school counselor gave to me, which was don't go to college. You're not built for college.
Yeah.
That's what they told us. And Mrs. Mitchell took that and used it as fuel, and she got her degree. She's actually Dr. Mitchell now. Sorry,
Nice.
let's put some respect on her name. That's Dr. Mitchell. She was interning, I think, in Skid Row, and she saw a baby crawling on the sidewalk, and she had this epiphany, like these kids are starting off with like zero opportunities. Like there's like what is this kid's future going to be like?
Right.
And that changed the trajectory of her life. And she's like, I'm going to open up a school specifically for homeless children. I'm going to create a school that feels like a private school, but for these children. So that's how it started off. It started off with a school that they bought, like here in South Central. It was a very tiny little hole in the wall. They started off with a few students. She would do enrollment and go to different, there's like resource centers for homeless families. So she would go to those resource centers. She would go to shelters, and that's where she would do enrollment. So once she did that, she worked with this program that I actually think that you should apply for. I had this thought a few weeks ago. It's called Camelback Ventures. And Camelback Ventures is an internship for educators that are interested in doing something in STEM or in just education. And what they do is first they give you $50,000 and you get full autonomy to do with what you want. If you decide this is going to be my salary so I can focus on my dream, you have full autonomy to do that. But in addition to that money, what they do is that they get your plan of this idea that you have in education, and they hook you up with mentors. And these are not just mentors off the street. These are people who are on Forbes 40 under 40. They mentor you. They take you once they polish your idea, clean it up, give you a business plan, set you up for success. You know, they after they do all of that, and they take you to 4 capital cities. So LA, Washington, D.C., I think Oregon, and I forgot what else, and they have you do your pitch in front of a room full of investors. Mm-hmm. Then once you do that, if they mess with your idea and they think this is great, they take their resources and they give them to you. So you can see how something like that can just take you from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
So that's how she started her school. So she had this idea. She had this vision for what she wanted for homeless students in South Central. Then after that, she got the Camelback Ventures. They like boosted her school up. You know, she started getting different partnerships out of it. Different, you know, charter schools and funding. It works differently than LAUSD. Yeah. So you can rack in as much money from different places and different resources as you wish. So she did that, and she created this school that, you know, goes beyond helping with just academics. It really just helps the whole child. When I worked there, I adopted that in my own classroom. And when I tell you, I had PKers that started off as 3, and they were technically supposed to be 4. Started off at 3, skipped 2 grade levels on all their test scores. 2 grade levels. And not everybody, but it was like 7 out of my 24.
That's awesome.
So I had that 2 years ago. The year before that, I have 4 of my students who are now first graders, skip kindergarten. So, you know, the model works. You know, so that's how we started working with our students. But yeah, we offer all types of resources to our kids. You know, we would have our field trips were so like outside of the box, which is why I really love the school that I work for. There was a time where we had a partnership with Nike where our kids got to design their own shoes, do a photo shoot with the shoes, create a commercial with it. We had a Beats recording class for our enrichment where our students were able to create their own song, and it's on Apple Music. So, you know, giving students different opportunities. Our academics might not be great, you know, but we're giving our students opportunities. We take our kids to trips abroad, you know, our 6th graders, not all of them, but the students who embody our core values. At the end of the year, we get to take them on trips. Last year, we were able to take 14 children to Japan.
Wow.
I didn't get to travel till I was 18 years old, and that was on my own. You know, we're giving these kids those opportunities, and now they're learning through real-world experiences. So that's a little bit about, you know, what we do for the kids that we serve.
That's awesome. That's impressive. You know, it sounds like you have an amazing relationship with the students that you work with. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you have an amazing. Can you tell me how you build those relationships with those students, especially the population that you work with?
Yeah. So the moment I see a face I don't recognize, I need to know who you are, and you need to know who I am. That's number 1. What is your name, right? After that, depending on how you gauge their, like, you know, some kids might be closed off, some kids might be open. I think that when you build a relationship, you really have to, like, read that child. You know, like, what is the energy they're harboring, you know, or are they more open? Are they more talkative? So, you know, I just kind of meet them where they're at. You know, if I see that someone's closed off, I might, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Miss Lemus. So nice to meet you. I've never seen you before. Can you please tell me your name?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, my name is this. I'll catch you around. And I'll make it a thing to make sure that I, like, connect with them any interaction that I have. That's number 1. Then after level 2, it's like, okay, like, let's find a commonality with each other. If it's shoes, hey, you're my twin. We got the same shoes, you know? So there's that. But I think that also, like, the fine line of building your relationships with your student is still establishing that, like, like, I gotta keep it professional, right? Like, yes, I'm gonna build a relationship with you. I'm a silly person, so I'm gonna make it silly. But at the same time, I'm not like moving past that line.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna like be disrespectful, or I'm never gonna make it where we're friends. If I call you my twin, that's it. But after that, like, I need you to know this is Miss Lemus, shake hand or fist bump. But that's it. But just staying consistent, acknowledging them. You see someone doing something positive, letting them know. Even if you see someone doing something negative, you also have to approach it in a certain way if you don't know them, because as an educator we still have to address everything.
Yeah.
So if I meet someone for the first time and they're doing something negative, I would approach them like, hey, can you come here real quick? I see what you did real quick, and I don't think that was cool. I would never be okay with somebody doing that to you, okay? But I've never seen you before. Can you please tell me your name? I really want to get to know you.
Yeah.
So things like that, just making them feel seen is the number one thing.
Yep. Where did
Yeah.
you learn that?
Um, where did I learn that? Let me see. Um, that's a hard question. That's a loaded question.
What you're saying is almost exactly what I do. Almost exactly what I do. The
Where
the
did you learn that?
the years of experience,
Okay.
like I started teaching when I was 22 years old. But before that, I worked as a playground assistant. It wasn't Alex Best, but I worked at what was it, a Catholic school. Before that, I worked at a group home. I worked as a one-on-one for a student with autism, and then I got my job as a first grade teacher at a Catholic school when I was 22 years old. I had two kids at the time already. I'm married, had two kids, and so when I worked with the kids, I was so energetic and so full of, like, this is all brand new to me, and I was like a kid myself teaching kids. And so that was fun, and I just think about how my parents raised me, how my parents brought me up. I have kids, how I treated my kids. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat the kids that I work with the way that I'm hoping that somebody would treat my kids.
Okay.
Right. So if my kids were at a school and I'm hoping that they're being taken care of, they're being loved, they're being looked after, that's the exact same way that I'm going to treat these kids, like if they're my own. And
Okay.
so that's what it was. And I started off just being really silly and really goofy and not really kind of knowing what's going on. And it just built. I knew that I wanted to respect everybody in the classroom.
Mhm.
And it just started to build. You start to build these relationships and you start to make these connections, and you know what works and what doesn't work. And you just kind of refine your skill.
Cool.
So now, now it's just like if I need to make a connection, I feel like I can make a connection easily. It's
Yeah.
not even hard.
Yeah. It's second nature. It's just
Yeah.
a walk now. So I think after hearing that, I think that I've always been very kind to people. That's just me. That's just my personality. I've never been some, like, even when I'm the authority figure,
Yeah.
I still a kind person. You
Yeah.
could have just like I've always been a very, very kind person, and I think that kids can feel your intentions.
Yeah.
As adults, we don't realize how much we're projecting,
Yeah.
but I think that has helped me a lot build those relationships with my
Yeah.
students.
Just having a pleasant look on your face, just having a smile, just having eyes that are open and up, your head is up and you're looking around, like just simple things like that.
Yeah,
If you go through school with your head down and you're avoiding people and you can't have eye contact, then nobody's going to really connect with you, because your energy is just like closed up. No, but you're the leader of the school, but your energy is just like, no, like, and
yeah,
so as the leader of the school, head up, chin up, look around, smile, talk to the kids. That's what you should be doing. That's what you should, and all, like, as an administrator, there is so much going on, like especially at the new school that I'm at. There's so much going on, and there's so many things. The pressure of just being an administrator, so it's kind of hard like I have to catch myself. I have to remind myself, hey, chin up, head up, look around, say hi. I have to
Mm,
remind myself because of the weight of the job. Like the weight of
yeah,
the job, it's heavy. It's
yeah,
heavy. And so, but those simple things like keep your head up, chin up, smile, look around, say hi,
mm,
slow down, slow your pace down, slow
that,
your pace down,
yes,
right? That kind of stuff right there. And make as many connections as you possibly can as you walk through the school and you interact with as many people as you possibly can. You
yeah,
do that every
mm,
day for 180 days of school. You will have built so many relationships. That's the key.
yes.
Yeah,
And it's crazy because it sounds so simple,
it is.
but then I'm over here coaching, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, like, bro, smile, like, just say hi, give it, acknowledge the hug, like, it's just, But I think that like uh, teachers forget that social component.
Mm-hmm.
They have, and I get it. It's a lot that they have in their mind. The decisions you have to make when you're in your classroom, especially those lower grades. Like, can you open this? Can you do this? I need to go to the bathroom. She just did that. Like, I can see like just the turmoil like in your
Mm-hmm.
head. Just you can't even focus on what you have to do or just being normal, being present.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our teachers are so flustered
Mm-hmm.
that they forget to just be present in the moment. So I think that that's very powerful, and I think that that's something that I need to start implementing too. Because as you were saying that, I thought back to certain interactions that I had with different people where they were like, "Are you okay?" Like I had 3 people today ask me if I was okay, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm just I'm walking with a sense of urgency."
Mm-hmm.
But forget to, check
Yeah.
your face.
Check your
Yeah,
face. Yeah.
check your yeah. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Uh, small world. You went to Marshall. Did you go to King middle school as well, or no?
No, I went to John Burroughs.
John
Yeah,
Burroughs.
I actually got OT'd from Belmont. So I
Okay.
came from
Yeah.
I came from Belmont. Like I said, I've always been a very kind social person, and I became friends with I guess like the wrong crowd. They were my neighbors,
Yeah.
but at the school they were the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And there was like an incident. It happened at RFK. So I was walking to pick up my sister because my sister went to LASA.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go pick up my sister with my friend Erin, who was affiliated. And I don't know if you remember like before when LASA was new,
Mm-hmm.
but there used to be a lot of MS, like
Mm-hmm.
Marta Trucha in front of the school, like
Mm-hmm.
bald tattooed. Like
Yes.
I've never seen people
Yes.
like that before until that day. So, it was a whole like 4 or 5 of them. And I was walking with my friend. They approached us, asked us they asked him where he was from. They made a comment about me. My friend didn't like appreciate that. So he clapped back and then it was back and forth. And then a huge rumble came out. I ran, started throwing some rocks because, I'm not about to fight guys. I started throwing rocks and then the police, they handcuffed everybody, handcuffed us. When we went back to the school, my friend was wearing the Belmont sweater. So the guys went to Belmont to go
Yeah.
find him.
Yeah.
So that day, my dean at the time, Mr. Rediford, he took me into the office and he's like, "Why are these people trying to look for you?" Pulled up my transcripts and saw like I had the best grades.
Yeah.
John Burroughs set me up for success. I went from being ELD in second grade to finding an amazing teacher who pushed me. Got 600 in my CST scores, ELA and math, 3 years in a row. I went to John Burroughs, and my sixth grade year, I was taking Algebra 1, just moving fast. And then I have this one incident. He sees my transcripts, and he's like, "Wait, what are you doing here?" Like, told me, "What am I doing at the school?" And I was like, "Oh, my parents didn't apply for any schools, and this is my home school." And they were like, "Oh, we need to give you an OT." So an OT had a negative connotation back in the day, but
Yeah.
it's really an opportunity transfer, and that's what I took from it. I ended up going to Marshall. I actually hated it, like as far as like on an academic standpoint.
Yeah.
I had a lot of like negative interactions with educators, and I think that had I stayed in Belmont, I actually would have done better in school.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were we live right here in Echo Park, and so um their homeschool was Belmont. Like my kid's homeschool was Belmont. But I was like, I went to Marshall, and I was like,
Yeah.
you guys are all gonna go to Marshall. Every one of you, Marshall, and so that's how they ended up in Marshall. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I liked Marshall. Marshall's okay.
No, I actually hated Marshall. I had a horrible like I had good friendships there, but as far as like educators, like I wrote a paper on this a week ago about my trig teacher when I got there. He asked me what my grade was in Belmont, and I handed him my transcript. And Mr. Wong, I don't know if you remember Mr. Wong, I don't know if he was there, but around your time, but he looks at my transcript and he's like, A in Belmont is a D in Marshall, and he
Oh,
writes my name and I guess like he had this
oh,
board that was like the top grade, which was an A, 1A, and then it had B's, C's, D's, and F's. So he had a list of the student names, writes my name, and puts it down on the D section.
wow,
So I'm coming into a class with seniors as a freshman,
wow.
and this is how you're presenting me. Then I went to I don't know if you knew this, but in Marshall we had an academic decathlon.
Hmm.
So the coach for the academic decathlon was my honors English composition teacher. When I get there, I enter. It's Mr. Farley. They're about to have a test, and he's like, "Oh, it's an open book test, but it's like a book this big." He's like, "It's an open book test, so you don't have to take it, but next time, every week we have an open book test, blah, 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 whatever, right?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm confident I could take the test." And then this girl, Paulina, who was in my trig class, who was also a freshman, she's like, "Aren't you supposed to be smart to be in this class?" So I just had a lot of negative
Wow,
interactions. And I went from being the top of my class to not even knowing if I was going to graduate my senior year.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Not and then not going to college at all until a few years ago because I was so scared of failing and those negative interactions with teachers. And part of why because for a long time I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a teacher, I'm not going to be a teacher, but I feel like I was I went through those things because I needed to be the opposite of those teachers. Sometimes people are like, I became an educator because I want to be the teacher that, that quote, I can't think of it on the top of my head. I'm getting tongue tied, but it's like,
I want to
um,
be the teacher that I never had.
something like that. But, it sounds cliche,
Yeah,
but realistically, yes. Like, I am so over, like, those bully teachers who
yeah.
put you down. I had teachers who were like, "There's no way that you wrote this," at Marshall. Whereas I had educators at Belmont who were calling me little valedictorian my first
Mm,
week of school.
yeah.
So that's why I feel like my academic trajectory would have been very different had I stayed at Belmont. But at the end of the day, I really do feel that I am where I need to be, regardless of what happened. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank
So we're coming toward the end of the podcast right here. And at the end of the podcast, I always ask my guests, what are 3 tips that you would give to future educators or future educators? What kind of tips would you give them?
Okay, so ask for help. Ask for help. If well, actually no, no. Let me go back. Because this is like it's encompassing a big. This is a big thing. I think it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. Always ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. Number 3 is apply. Apply it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay to make mistakes. We it's normal. We're educators. It's a trial and error. We're learning too. Make sure that you're pulling from things that work and shedding off the things that you see from other people that are not working and then apply it. And when I mean apply it is be consistent with it. Make sure that you follow through with it at any point that you can. So I think those would be my 3 tips.
Great tips. And, thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for bringing that energy. Thank you for being inspiring to me. This is to me. Like, the things that you had said really inspired me today. Whether they inspire other people, I don't care. It inspired me today, and I greatly appreciate that. Like you usually in a podcast, like I might talk more sometimes than my guest, But I'm over here absorbing all the things that you have to say today, and it was a lot of good stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for, inspiring other educators, just making those connections just so we can learn more and just, help our kids out. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Bye.